It's another day, and you know the rules. It's another late video. This was originally supposed to be a New Year's video, but life got complicated. And you've seen the concept before, you know what we're doing. We're gonna look at my pile of shame. And I call it a pile of shame because I'm ashamed of it, because it's shame. This is gonna give you the opportunity to see what you guys want on this channel. All you guys need to do is comment below the video which armies you want to see painted, because that's what I'm going to do. We're going to go through the armies that I have in my backlog. Then we're going to look at what I painted this year versus how much I need to paint. Which is, that's abysmal. But you won't find out the exact number until the end of the video. Let's start with something a bit more positive. My Deathwing. Now you might ask, didn't you complete this a few years ago? No, I did not. I just got burnt out on them. But I actually did finish them this year. There was a few members of this force that needed OSL work that didn't get OSL work, and they also hadn't have been varnished. So I finally got them varnished. I finally got them with the OSL, and they're a condensed force. Now, I would love to add a few more Terminators to this. Having only one squad of Terminators to this is kind of wimpy. But this is more of an assistant force to the force that I'm currently building right now. These guys are meant to back up my Green Wing force, which I am currently working on right now. You've actually seen them in the videos before. This force is directly tied to my Firstborn series, where I'm picking a unit into each army, going through that, and then redesigning them in a Primaris scale. Along with that, I'm also giving the history and design philosophy of the unit. You have to lead every force. That's where my librarian came in. I actually did this for a painting competition this year that I lost. But I at least got a cool miniature out of it. He's here to lead the force. This might sound all good, but over half the army is unpainted. So the first units I'm adding to my pile of shame are these jump troops. So I've kit bashed them, but I haven't finished working on the script for the video, and I haven't finished painting them for the video. So they're in this pile, but they're a pretty simple conversion. I just took Assault Intercessors and took the old plastic jump packs that I got from eBay, slapped them on for half the price of what you'd have to spend with a much cooler aesthetic. Obviously, I'm going to go more into it when I make the video, but these guys have more of a Firstborn personality. Next brings us to the Devastators. I have 10 of these guys. As you can see, I also have ideas of how I want to implement in the army, so I've been kind of kit bashing ideas for a future video. As well as we're talking about Dark Angels, they have to have plasma. Next is a 3D printed Firstborn tank. This is one of the Horse Heresy designed ones, but designed for 40K, so it's the old design. I like it much better than any of the modern Primaris tanks that anybody uses. They really lack having tracks, so having tracks in this guy is pretty nice. Of course, there's more than just 2 wings to the Dark Angels. We have the third ring, Raven Wing. In here is made up of just like 6 bikes. I have 6 bikes from the Indomitus set. Now, additionally, I also have a few miscellaneous guys within this army, most of them being HQ unit. Now, if you saw my short showing off my old Deathwing, you might ask, why do I have another Ancient here? Well, my other Ancient is broken. I wasn't able to figure out how to really fix the banner, so I just decided to take mine from my Ultramarines, put him here because I wanted to 3D print the precise company banners for my Ultramarine, which consists of a chaplain, a justiciar, another lieutenant that I have, this leaves like half my Dark Angel army unpainted, and it's kind of ridiculous. It's very redonkulous, you might say. You know, this would be reasonable. But that's not the only army I have. Recently I've started working on an army that I haven't touched in like 3 years since the launch of Leviathan. My goal back then was to get the Dark Angels done and then move on to painting them, but life got in the way. So I'm finally touching these guys because of several videos I have planned. This is basically just the Leviathan box set, the Tyranid half of the Leviathan box set, and 10 more Hormigons. Hormigons? The ones with the shooty dildos. Now, these are the only sprues in this sort of thing that I'm counting as models. I have a bunch of sprues, but I don't think I would be able to really go through them and put together how many are left, because I do use a lot of sprues for kit bashing. But because these guys came in the box game, I know there's precisely 10 of them. I painted 20 of them for the video. And speaking of the 20, these are the 20. So this obviously has Lieutenant Titus in it, and the 20 guys. I miscounted, I thought there was 20 in the box, but there's actually only 10, but that worked out because I just got all 20 of them done. Now I only have 10 more to do. I like Horde armies, but Horde armies are a bitch to paint. The cool thing is I'm pairing a lot of these guys with a command squad I want to make for the Ultramarines to get sort of that dioramic pushback, and because I really liked working on that first video, I want to add these guys to the box game. Luckily, this also adds to my tally, so we can add 20 bugs into lieutenants for the second company to my tally. That's definitely going to help at the end of this video. There's definitely not going to be a massive, huge disparity. Here's my Ultramarine army, my biggest army that I have. These guys right here are going to be added to the Space Marine board game. These are all characters that feature in Space Marine, so I thought it'd be cool to add them to the board game. They have the new Leandros, the new Awesome Sergeant, the annoying Captain, and then a generic Banner Bearer, because that's what a command squad is. So that's what I'm making it as. All of these are as close to the game as I can possibly get. Obviously, we're going to start with the big boys in the room. I have 2 dreadnoughts. Now, one's at... No, it's the ballistic. It's now a ballistic? It's a Hellfire Dreadnought. This is a fucking Hellfire Dreadnought, and I refuse to call it the new name. Now, we also have a Redemptor, and the Redemptor is pretty cool. Both of them I would love to run. But whenever I run big models like that, they just get killed off turn 1. Obviously, I have a Blade Guard, Captain, Lieutenant, and 3 Blade Guard. But I also have a Chaplain here. And I'm going to need to move the Chaplain, because originally the Chaplain of the second company didn't have a name, but now we know, since the Space Marine game, we know who the Chaplain is. So I'm going to move him to the Master of Sanctity. I also really like his living Mask of the Emperor helmet, and I don't want to get rid of it. Next, I have a Gravis Captain. This isn't my original. This is one I picked off of a Dark Angels lot. Right here, we have 6 Eradicators. When I was building the army back in 9th edition, these guys were amazing. Not really that great in 10th edition. I like the way they look. I like the way they play. But they're really just overpriced. Next are another one of my favorite units. What the fuck are these guys? These were one of my favorite units back in 8th, but I have no idea what the fuck they're called. Okay, so they're interceptors. That's what they're called, interceptors. By the way, side note, you know how fucking hard it was to actually find this? I looked through Warhammer's webpage 3 different ways, couldn't find it, had to Google Primaris flying units, and found the old community article. Obviously, most of their flying bases are broken, and I have a few ideas of how I want to implement them actually flying, because I think it would be cool to still have them flying, but if not, I can just glue them down to the base. If not, I can probably just glue them down to the base. I have 6 of these. All of them are easy to build, so all of them were easy to build, so they just came with the bolters. I know Plasma is technically better, but with how I roll ones, it's probably better that I don't have Plasma. Now I have this random lieutenant, which I could probably do something with. Both of my lieutenants are already built and named for the second company. So I picked up this Phobos. He's much cooler than the librarian in normal armor. And because I thought the captain of the second company was in Phobos, everybody was in Phobos. Apparently I'm wrong, and apparently the librarian in the second company is in normal armor, but fuck it. The next thing I found is the new Marines for Leviathan. These guys desperately need a video to fix their aesthetics. They're literally just intercessor with flamethrower, and it's so boring. Furthermore, we have some leftovers from the Leviathan knock set. The new Gravis Apothecary, and a Phobos Lieutenant that I now don't know what to do with. Next here is a leftover experimental unit from one of my old videos. This is my Tyranid veterans. After that I have 5 Sternguard veterans, and that's just because I have a custom built Mado Kaido. This next mini, I don't know what to do. It's my old Judiciar from Indominus, but with no head and no arms, no backpack. This motherfucker has seen some shit. Now we're finally getting to kind of the boring stuff. Because I've kit bashed so much stuff, my intercessor numbers are really low. Probably, I had 7 intercessors. And it's really up to you guys. Do you want me to go full balls to the wall, kit bash them to make them look firstborn? Or do you want me to keep them more reserved so other parts of my army, like those Tyrannic war veterans, look more unique? And this also extends to the assault intercessors that I have here. Should I make them into jump troops? The next thing I have is kind of a one-off project, but could become more. This is my old Dante. I kit bashed him to look like the old one, even using an old plastic jump pack that would fit. And I want to do non-metallic metal on him, and then do a green, goblin green base. Make him look really retro. But that's a bitch. I've already stripped him twice because it just looked like shit. Next is a little force that should have been done years ago, but wasn't done due to 9th edition just sort of ending like a wet fart. We were going to do a 500 point tournament on the channel, and I was going to be taking Minotaurs. I was going to take 5 jump troops and a relic Contemptor Dreadnought. Apparently, you no longer can run Contemptor Dreadnoughts, so now I don't know what I'm going to do with this army. Here's another project that's kind of been put on hiatus just due to cost. I was going to make Badab War Salamanders. So the first thing I messed up with this paint job is I put the wrong markings on. Recently I've been able to have somebody send me a PDF of the Badab War books, and I was able to take a look and realize a lot of these markings are wrong because these are modern 40K markings, not what they were using during the Badab War. So I'm probably going to keep the scheme, just switch out the markings because the scheme was super enjoyable to paint. Additionally, since these are in a firstborn scale, I have to have a lot more of them with a lot more points. So here's the other issue. They're super expensive. Like, Warhammer in general is super expensive. Furthermore, I'm trying to make it accurate to the units they had during the Badab War, which means I have to sort of build my list around those units, and a lot of those units are hard to obtain nowadays. For example, they recently got rid of the old Command Squad unit. They also got rid of the old Classic Terminators. I can probably look and steal some stuff from Heresy. They would have had some leftover stuff, but these guys really should be in Mark 5, in Mark 8 and 7. That's what they would have had because they were really hurt after the Heresy and never really recovered. Of course, this isn't my only old school army. I'm working on a few others for Heresy. Here's an old Iron Warriors army that I was working on, and it would have been finished had I not lost the SD card for how I kit bashed and printed them and painted them. So yeah, literally all the footage is gone. All the footage of this army is gone. I probably can refilm some of the kit bashing I've done, but a lot of those files that I used have been ripped off the internet by Games Workshop. So I'm kind of in a rock and a hard point. I've already painted these halfway through, and just painting half of it wouldn't be that cool. Maybe I could get something new, like one of the new Iron Warriors, and just painting him for the early stages so you would have the whole scheme. But we'll see. This is a pretty cool army I want to finish. These are Loyalist Iron Warriors. But technically, none of these paint jobs are finished. So since they're not fully painted and not fully based, all of them have to go in the pile of shame. Now comes a super interesting army for me. This is an old army from my brother. My brother is currently leaving Warhammer due to how bad Warhammer 40K is as a game. He's leaving the game because of how bad the game is. He's no longer having fun. There's no longer list building. I went over it in 10th edition. He's just leaving. And he's given me a few of his old armies. One of these is the Custodes. I have an idea of what I want to do with these guys. There was an old TV series called TTS, or If the Emperor Had a Text-Speech Device. I would love to recreate the army. The army also features a bunch of different Custodes schemes, so it would be interesting. I do already have Kitten painted up. Adding these guys wouldn't be that hard, but each one is a character model, so it's a lot of stress just painting one, but there are very few of them. Here's another cool model that technically is unpainted and built, but I'm not going to really finish him for a while. This is a test for a future World Eaters army that's going to be way off because I don't even want to start building that army until I'm done with these. But technically, he does add to the count. This next one I have absolutely mixed feelings about, and it's annoying. This is my Aeldari army, and I'm not counting this guy in sprue. They're also all old. These are all the old sculpts, and I don't think the old ones look that bad. The only one that looks bad is the Warp Spider, and I don't even have enough to run in a full unit. I literally have one Warp Spider, which would make a good retro video, which I might do, but I can't really use him. But literally as I started planning this army out for the next edition, because I wanted to try them out next edition, they announced the new sculpts. So that sucks. I haven't actually seen the old sculpts next to the new ones and see what they look like. But the one beneficial thing is it's probably going to be cheaper for me to continue getting these old sculpts to make the army look uniform than getting the new ones. The only new ones I probably would force myself to get is the new striking scorpions or the new web spiders, because the old ones just look atrocious. Now I am planning on making these guys Ulthway, so I could make the old ones all Ulthway, and then any new ones will be from a different craft world, therefore it might gel better. That's why they look different, but that's just an idea. I don't know. A bunch of these guys also have broken gun barrels, like the Rangers, so I could probably just turn all the ones with the broken gun barrels into basing material, or I can try to figure out how to fix them, but I don't know how I'm ever going to fix them. Of course, this is not my only Xenos army. I have another army. I bought Indominus, and when I bought Indominus, I was much younger, and I thought the idea of a Necron climbing out of the ice, all rusty and old, coming to kill you was cool. But by the time I was finished with them, I didn't like the way they looked, which forced me to strip them. And if you've ever stripped a Necron, you will know the pain of stripping them. So almost half the army is just broken. That's my Necron army. The only thing is I need to find another Overlord, because I'm not going to strip my old Overlord. I'm not stripping any of my old HQs. You get enough HQs, you get them in almost every single box set, that I'm going to be using a different HQ. But I would like an Overlord here. And I think with some TLC, these guys can easily be fixed. It's not like they're unplayable. They're going to need some time, and I think I can fix them. I've also gotten a lot better with OSL, and for Necrons, can be super easy. The other annoying thing is I'm not sure all my warriors have matching guns. But that's fine. It's fine. Of course, I have more than one army that I have no clue how I'm going to expand, much like my Aeldari fort. The idea behind these World Eaters is that this was a chapter of World Eaters that had corrupted other Imperial forces in using the cultists against them. So this was a Chaos Guard, but every Chaos Guard had like a Space Marine attached to them. Much like Badab War, but all these guys are old retro miniatures. So my old Chaos Space Marines are old, and then my old Guard are old, and they have replaced both of these sculpts. I also have about half of the Chaos Guard finished, versus I have almost none of the word bearers finished. There's a few cool models in here, like I have old kit bashed retro Demon Prince. And because I went with a more Cadian scheme, I can technically run them as Imperial Guard, though it's pretty blatant that they're Chaos. Also, a lot of these old schemes I just really love, like some of these Accursed Cultists. I mean, look at this guy, the reds are beautiful. I really should finish this army, but due to just everything I paint on the channel has to be a video, I wasn't able to finish these guys, and they got put in the back burner. This would not be a legal army. This is absolutely not a legal army I can take, placed on the back burner, because really, the Dark Angels are the only official army that's fully painted with enough points to make it playable that still has rules. The rest, a lot of these armies don't have rules that I can play in 40k. I oftentimes have to use heresy rules because they just don't have rules anymore. They have completely butchered any cross-compatibility of soup in the name of making everything more fair, which has removed a lot of personality from armies like this. This is a Chaos Guard army that assists a Chaos chapter, so it's a bunch of different legionaries working with normal humans. They are corrupting them into the idea of thinking, well, no, the Imperium are actually the bad guys. The Imperium aren't the Angels. That's the idea, but I can't do that if they won't let me play the army. Of course, GW absolutely butchering my armies is not going to be something new. Death Guard in 9th edition was my favorite army to play. Super easy, super fun. I know people didn't always like to play against them, but if you have a fast-moving army, you can easily kick the shit out of them. But, they absolutely fucking butchered them in the transition to 10th, so I no longer even enjoyed playing them, so they got set off to the side. And now they keep on releasing boxes, sets that you can't legally use, and then they made it incentivized not to take them with my Black Legion army, which is how I had them set up in case I didn't want to run Death Guard, and now they cost more and are not better. I have to put them in elites because fuck it. So, fuck it. They're getting their own army. We're going to put them in the heresy, and they're going to be late heresy, like Final Days on Terra heresy. That's also why it works with sort of my Poxwalkers all being themed around other military branches. These are military forces that have been corrupted by Nurgle. Now we get finally to my favorite Chaos army, my Black Legion army that's not going to stay Black Legion. Well, kind of. As you've kind of gotten the hint, I don't like 10th edition. The only game I've really liked in the recent years is Heresy. So I need to be able to plug some of my armies into Heresy so I don't have to go out and buy a completely new army. So what I'm going to try to do is theme these guys around 38k Black Legion forming so they can still have the old veteran pauldrons, but I can also include other units if I want to play it in that narrative, but also be able to play it in Heresy, because the first company all had black armor with red shoulder pads, and I can paint most of my basic legionaries with this aesthetic. Furthermore, I do like a peeled down aesthetic. I don't like this super chaos aesthetic unless there's something like Word Bearers. So this will allow me to pull back the aesthetic a bit. So the moment you all have been waiting for, you have listened to me ramble for so long, let's start with how many I painted this year. Drum roll, please. 48 miniatures this year. And I have unpainted 373. Yes, I know, it's very bad. A lot of these guys are new to my collection, so it wasn't this bad. And I have a lot of Horde armies, but still, this is a bit ridiculous that I have this many unpainted. And now you can also blame me, because there's a bunch of them that I have painted, like my Black Legion and my Death Guard that I'm repainting, and I'm counting them into the factor even though they are painted in base. But they wouldn't up my numbers of painted because they were painted years ago. That would just bring down the number of unpainted stuff. So, obviously, let me know what you want to see underneath. Let me know what you want to see in the comments. I'm going to start taking what you guys want to see and producing that for you, because the only way I'm making this content is because of you guys. Also, I want to see ideas down there of how to make this faster and easier. And do you like certain types of videos? I mean, like, there was a lot of good reception to my Intercessors video and how the new modern Primaris sort of have lost their personality as well as going through the history of the Tactical Marines. So I can do the same thing for the Assault Marines. I can do the same thing for Devastators. It could be a very interesting look. Hell, I could probably do the exact same thing for my Chaos Marines. Or do you want to see the Eldar Ulthway? Do you want to see some of these more obscure guys that I have in my army, and not just all Space Marines? Do you want to see more installments within the Space Marine 2 tabletop series until I complete the whole game, maybe? It's up to you guys and what you want to see, so please leave a comment, like the video, share the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.